Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Flipside Podcast. I'm your host, Retro Ralph. This is episode 42, and I'm coming to you live from the Death Star. All right, there we go. In theory, I thought that was gonna work, but that was weird. All right, where the heck is my, where's my hat? I guess I could go crazy hair on this one, but I'm not gonna. I'm gonna go hat. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for joining. Okay, today we're gonna talk about my Star Wars experience at Stern. You know, I didn't get to talk about all of it in my video because, well, I'm gonna get to all that. So, thank you guys for joining me on a Sunday morning. That's when I'm recording this, at least. I'm trying to record it before football starts because, guys, in this house on Sunday, it's all about football. So there's no pinball playing, although sometimes I play pinball in between halftime and things like that. But for the most part, it's all about football on Sunday morning. And I've been gone. I was in New York City. Actually, before I say all that, let's have a quick word from our sponsor, Flipping Out, and then I'll tell you the whole story about how this Stern visit even came to be. Are you looking for a new pinball machine, a used pinball machine, or to trade in your old pinball machine for something new? Look no further than Flippin' Out Pinball. They can handle all your pinball needs. They ship anywhere in the United States, and they will give you the best experience in the business. Check out the link to Flippin' Out Pinball in the video description for more information. Now, back to the video. All right, so as I was saying, so I was originally on a work trip, so I had to go to New York, and these kind of work trips for me, they're really, really fast. It's like we get on the trip. It's usually a bunch of meetings, and then dinners at night, and then we're like back, right? So I basically asked Zach Sharp. I said, "Hey, do you think I can't make the media event on a Wednesday because I'm not flying home from New York City till Thursday?" And I already had a really early morning flight booked, except my flight was direct from New York to Phoenix. So I asked him, I was like, look, if I can get through Chicago, like if I can do a connection through Chicago, can I stop by and look at it? And I wasn't, I was trying not to, I have a pretty good relationship with Zach, and I didn't want to ruin that, but I figured like, hey, why not ask? It's not going to ruin anything. He's just going to tell me no if he can't do it. And so he's like, yeah, we can make that happen. So I got really excited because I'm like, man, I didn't want to miss out. I like the media days for a lot of reasons. I like hanging out with the other creators because we don't get a chance to all be together like that. And, you share information, you talk, and just, it's just kind of, a lot of them have become friends. So it's just fun to hang out with everybody and also get that whole experience of the new game. The only thing that I don't really love is that they always do the tour every time. And so I think once you've been on that tour once, it's like, it's very awesome. I'm not going to lie. Like if you're going to Expo, go do it. If you've never seen it, it's like amazing. The operation that Stern runs in there. And it just like goes to show you're like, wow, it's just a well-oiled machine. But I've already done that before. So anyway, so I figured if I go out for this thing too, I'm probably not going to have to do all that. But anyway, long story short, Zach is like more than accommodating. Same with Joe Marchfield over there. But here's where it got interesting. So it's the night before, and I'm like, man, if I have limited time, there's no way I'm going to be able to play the game and film the game and do any justice or any kind of video. And I didn't want to make it a wasted trip. So I like randomly texted Mason. It was like the night before. So less than 24 hours before we'd have to even be there. And I'm like, hey, would you meet me in Chicago? And he's like, yeah, sure. Well, actually, I asked him, hey, I got a crazy idea. Are you down? He's young, right? So Mason's just like, yeah, I'm good. And so he met me there. So it was awesome. So, but Mason and I usually have, we filmed so much together now that it's like, we just know how to do it. Right. And the great thing is Mason has a new camera now. And a joke of ours is that he's always turning on the camera, and I'm like, are you ready? Are you ready? Because his camera didn't have a red indicator light, so I never know when his camera is actually on versus not on. So now I won't annoy him as much because I used to ask him, are you ready, like a million times. But anyway, so we fly out there, and like I didn't know what to expect, right? I asked Zach for a favor, so it's not like I'm expecting to have the whole day with the game or anything. But when we did get there, they were doing a dealer meeting at the same time, and he's like, hey, well, why don't I pull you into this so then you'll you'll see you'll get the whole experience that the media day people got. So I'm like, all right, cool. So I get into the room, and Seth Davis is in there, and Gary Stern is in there, and all these dealers. So they're getting like the breakdown of Spike 3. And the thing is, like, I haven't seen the game yet. So I'm experiencing the same thing they are. And they were there for like some repair school stuff. So Kyle was with them in the room too. And they were going over like the repair and maybe some of the new menu system stuff. But then we sat through this whole presentation, and the presentation was pretty interesting because it went over like how big the Star Wars license is, and they filled us in on some things that were actually rumors in the community that they wanted to, they didn't really like tie them together, but they kind of did. They were like, look, with the IP this big, I can't remember. They gave the financial number of how much money that Star Wars has made. It's like, I want to say it's in like the 60 billion or something. It's something crazy, right? Over its lifetime. And like, we could have done an original story, but this was Seth saying this. He's like, look, with Star Wars, no one wants to see, like, people want to see the original movies, the original clips. And so even though they tossed that idea around, they squashed that idea really quick because they're like, we gotta make this the original trilogy and stick to that. So they did. Now, one of the things that they also mentioned during that meeting is that you may notice when you're looking at this game that the video clips don't take up the whole 18.5 inch screen. That was not Stern's decision. Sometimes license holders don't want assets over like UI assets, so user interface stuff like, how far you're progressing in the game rules, all that stuff. They don't want that over the movie. So that's why you'll see the movie sort of in the middle and then the user interface on the sides. Now, the cool thing about that is that you still actually get about the same size screen as the old screen, but now you have the user interface assets out a little bit. So I think it works, but if you're wondering why that's that way, it's not like Stern said, hey, let's box the video in. They had to. So another good example of this is James Bond. So if you're playing James Bond, you probably see the movie assets movie assets are kind of shrunk in. Same thing there. The license holder doesn't want things over the original video clips. Now, keep in mind, this is going to be license specific. So some licenses might not care if they do that, right? And some might. So I think you'll see different games, like John Wick, those video assets are full screen. So I'm sure Lionsgate probably didn't care, right? So you're going to see that it's just going to depend on the license holder and what their requirements are. But the screen's impressive. It's nice. But anyways, so they're going through that. The other thing that they mentioned about the game, besides the video assets, is just things about Spike 3. Like, there's now a power supply that can sort of go into a sleep mode. So for home users, might mean less power consumption. If you want to keep your games up and you're absent from them for a little while, they go into sort of this like sleep mode to utilize less power. Now, an operator probably will shut that function off. I don't know if that's on or off by default. They didn't say. But it was nice to sit in that meeting because I got a little bit more of a glimpse as to like why certain decisions were made and things like that. Then, now keep in mind, I still haven't seen the game. Then they were showing me like pictures of the Pro Premium and the limited edition. Then they showed the trailer. And then after all that, we got to go see the game. And I was like, all right, this is just me sharing my thoughts. We all went into the room, their arcade room. I always forget the name of that they named that room. But we all went in there. And now I'm thinking to myself, how am I going to be able to film? They're all in here with us. Like, it would have just not worked. And, they're dealers. They don't want to have some dude around with cameras and microphones and all that stuff. So luckily that wasn't the plan. So Zach's like, no, you guys we're going to take them on the factory tour. And then you guys have about an hour and a half. Really was more like an hour. So now I'm like, okay, I'm super grateful again for this experience. But I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this in an hour. Like, how am I going to get a good idea of the game and how it plays? It takes me a while. Like, being realistic, you can't play a pinball machine for like a half an hour to an hour and really grasp everything about it. They're so deep these days. Even with I said in my video, the code was 7.8. I think it's 8.7 or something like that. So the code is pretty well on its way. And so there is some depth to it. So how am I going to really evaluate that in that short period of time? So I knew that wasn't going to be possible. So what I figured I'd do, I was like, look, Mason, I'm going to play it for 30 minutes and then we're going to squeeze filming into 30 minutes. Now, in the video, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It's not that long. It's like less than 10 minutes. I'll have a link in the description. But in the video, there's a scene in there where Zach's like, I was like, Zach, you think I could play one more game? And he's like, yeah, I think you can. And I had a bad game and I played that game. And he was like kind of going around the corner of that room. You can see it in the video. He was talking on his cell phone. And I'm like, Mason, is he there? And I'm looking behind him. He's like, all right, I'm going to play another game. He won't even know. So I press the game. So I press the start button. So later he comes over and he's like, hey, what ball are you on? But like, he wasn't being a jerk. He's like, really, he knew, right? He kind of could sense that I might have been playing. I was playing terrible that day, by the way. I hadn't played pinball in New York, I hadn't played any pinball. So I was like 4 days without playing pinball, maybe even 5. And I was rusty. And also, when you have a Ray Day and Zach Sharp, who are both amazing players, sitting over your shoulder, I don't do well with that pressure. And it's not like they're pressuring me. It's just that's just me. And I didn't play well at all. Like I was rusty. I was making stupid mistakes. I was fumble-rooskieing things. I was like fumble-rooski all over the thing. So whatever, it was fine. I would have preferred if I played well, but so anyways, I guess why I'm mentioning that is you just kind of don't. You know, I tried to do what I could in the short period of time. Luckily, you know what? You guys are so nice in the comments. No one even mentioned, hey, this felt like a shorter video or anything like that. No one said that. They were all really complimentary, which I appreciate. But I realized I wasn't as happy with that video as I could have been. And that had nothing to do with anything other than we just didn't have a lot of time to film it. So anyway, I would have liked to go a little bit deeper on it, but that's why I'm going to do this. So I want to tell you a couple of things that were talked about or discussed, because I did have a conversation with George Gomez too, who filled me in on some of the cool things about Spike 3. So I'm going to kind of go with cabinet stuff first, and then I'll go into the gameplay stuff, because I wrote down on the plane ride back, I wrote down a bunch of notes so that I was like, look, when I do a podcast on this, I really want to have my notes in front of me, because I tried my best to, like I said, do that live, but I don't think I really, I don't know. I don't think I really did that as much justice just because, the time limitation. So I'll talk about a couple of things first that I had a side conversation with George Gomez, and those things were more Spike 3 specific things, because you'll probably have heard this on many podcasts. This isn't like the everything Spike 3 is going to offer. I'd almost think of it like when a gaming console comes out and it's new hardware. It takes a while for the developers to fully exploit everything that hardware can provide them, right? Sometimes you find you don't get the best games till like almost toward the end of the generation of that platform, because the developers haven't figured out how to fully exploit everything. I'm not saying that they don't know how to, but this is one of those things where it's going to be in phases. So this first game, yes, it's Spike 3. You're getting the 18.5 inch screen. You're getting the upgraded audio, which is a better amplifier. And then obviously the Pro and Premium are going to have sort of the basic level speakers. And then the LE is going to have the best stuff. But why this amplifier is kind of important for me, at least, is that I always upgrade the speakers in my system, but then I upgrade the amplifier too. I prefer Pinwoofer over Pin Sound for that, for modern games, but they both are really good. You'll probably have a very good experience. So it's just a matter of preference, which one, I'm not going to tell you which one to get. It's whatever one you really want. I'm just saying for me, I prefer Pinwoofer over Pin Sound for the amplifier and a Spike 2. But this is one of those things where now that you have a better amplifier, for some users, the speaker upgrades may be enough and you don't need to add an amplifier. But again, that's going to be like where you are in the journey. If you're someone that's like an audiophile and you really want the best of the best, then you can't go wrong with something like Pinwoofer. And then, so maybe that if you're a modder or someone that always enhances their games, this is one of those things where I would evaluate it first, the way it comes, and see if that's satisfactory to you. And then if not, then you can still upgrade the audio. But I like that they finally did something with it. So you're seeing a better audio system in Spike 3. Now, what was interesting is if you look at the cabinet expression lights, you only have those on the LE, and you can add those to the Premium, right? Can't add them to the Pro. But right now, as you see, there's still the Spike 2 expression lights kit, right? So that's the Spike 2 cabinet expression light. So I was initially disappointed by that, because I was like, oh man, this is Spike 3. They're going to be able to do so much more with the lighting. So that will come a little bit later. I don't know exactly when. I did ask George, and he said in the next game release, but he didn't specify whether that meant remaster or cornerstone. And the reason why he probably didn't do that is because he really can't confirm that that The Walking Dead is, he's not going to tell me that The Walking Dead is coming out. So I'm like, all right, well, so I have to read between the lines on that. So it could be in The Walking Dead. I don't know, but they may not even do expression lights in Walking Dead. So whatever, it'll be the next game release. So I would probably, if I'm going to deduce that down to something usable, my guess is that the next Cornerstone non-remaster will maybe have the new lighting in it. Now, the other thing that was interesting is there's like these speaker enclosures they're going to offer that will like enclose it'll sort of put like some enclosures behind the speakers. And there's also going to be a speaker upgrade kit. So there's going to be further enhancements to make the speakers sound even better. Now, if you've ever looked at the inside of a Spike 2 or most pinball machines that are modern, they don't have anything they're like open air speakers, right? They're open to the back box and they sort of use the back box as the enclosure for the speakers. There's going to be some kind of thing offered there that I thought was interesting. And then what else was there? There's some other things too that for some reason they're escaping me. Oh, so this is really cool actually. So if anybody ever added expression lights to a modern machine like Metallica, like if you owned a Metallica remastered and you went and bought if you couldn't get in on the LE and you got the premium and you were going to add expression lights to it, or any other Stern where you added expression lights into the cabinet, you have to take the entire playfield out. That's a daunting task, especially when you're a moron like me and you decide you're going to do it yourself. Why I would decide to do that myself makes no sense, because honestly, if you drop the playfield, like, it's done. Like, you're going to probably break a bunch of stuff, right? Now, it's not done, but you're probably going to really damage things. But I did do it myself on Metallica Remastered. So then there's also going to be a new cabinet introduced. Now, I don't know if that new cabinet's going to come with The Walking Dead remaster or if it's going to come with the next Cornerstone. So I'm not sure. But I believe it might be. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't get clarification on that. So just know a new cabinet is coming. Now, I don't think that cabinet's going to be radically different looking. I think to us, it's going to look probably very similar, if not the same. But it's going to have convenience features in it, like you don't have to now take your whole playfield out to replace the expression light to put the cabinet expression light kit it's in. And I love that, because honestly, that would be a deterrent for me if I was like a casual who wanted to upgrade my machine. That would be kind of a daunting task to remove the playfield. So I like these kinds of things. So they're thinking further ahead on a lot of these items, and I think a lot of that, I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of that might be driven from Seth trying to push the limits of, hey guys, let's like modernize these things so that we now have the Spike 3 platform moving forward for the next 10 years or whatever it is, right? The other thing about Spike 3 that we talked about is, like, obviously there's a significant amount of improvement of processing power, memory, and things like that. But here's what's also interesting is if you guys look at like, and this maybe isn't the best example because it does look really good. In John Wick, they use 4K video assets that was the source assets. Now, obviously, that screen is not even it's not 1080p. It's like, I don't know, it's below that. I want to say it's not even 720p. I can't remember what the actual native resolution of the 15-inch monitor is. But now they have a higher resolution monitor. But also, if you notice, if you looked at video assets in the past, and depending on how high quality they are, they try really hard to make them look as good as they can. But the thing is, they didn't have the right, not the right, but in order to do it on their old platform, they had to use different codecs. Those codecs, you might see some artifacting from time to time, like as it's displaying the video assets. It's very minimal. Most people don't even notice it. You're going to get a very crisp video output on this new display. And you probably won't ever really see much artifacting because they're using better codecs now. But the reason why they couldn't do that before is like they're doing a lot with Spike 2. They don't have the processing power to do HDMI out and have the video assets be So they're working on an older platform. Now with the newer platform, they've got much more headroom to do things like that. And then with the better codec, they're going to be able to make the video files look better, right? So they're going to look awesome. And when you're dealing with a display that size, they'd probably be more noticeable if you had artifacting and things like that. And so I think you're going to see a big improvement there too. Like, so that's kind of exciting. I know some people don't get as excited about the screen because they're like, look, I'm not looking at the screen when I'm playing, but I think they did a good job. Were able to. I don't know how George. I'm guessing they use SolidWorks for stuff like that or whatever, but I don't know how he got in there and figured out. I mean, it had to be like down to this very like the engineering that had to go into making that screen fit within the same panel so that they could maintain the regular size translate or back glass is pretty awesome. So that was pretty neat too. So those are just some little tidbits that I found that maybe weren't shared in other videos because I geeked out with Gomez for a good. I love that guy. Like I really like that. And he did say something to me that's kind of interesting. He's like, Ralph, you have relationships here. You can call us or text us or whatever before you do a podcast, so you don't he was being nice about it, so you don't say like incorrect information. And I was like, and he had just recently corrected me on a video that I did. It was an old video I republished, and it was about the Transformers Home Edition game, and I said some things in there incorrect, so he corrected me. But that's the cool thing about having those guys. They're everywhere in social media, so whether you're the starting out content creator or the largest one in the space, they are always looking at your content. So just know that you could be just starting out and you think that no one's watching you. They are absolutely watching you. These companies are watching everything, and they want to see what people say. And sometimes they take that to heart, and sometimes they, maybe ignore certain comments because they're incorrect or it's something they just can't address. But they're always there, and a lot of times they will chime in. George is very active. If you look at like the Stern enthusiast group, he's all over that thing. So anyway, so let's get to more the gameplay, because I did feel like I didn't really get a chance to talk about it much because I didn't really have a whole lot of time to really discuss it, because I didn't have enough time to even break anything down in the 30 minutes that I really got to play, and then the 30 minutes I had to film everything. So I think what you'll notice is obviously there's some things about it that have probably been brought up, I'm assuming. But these are just basic stuff. The game was designed by John Borg, and then the lead coder was Raymond Davidson, or Ray Day as people call him. So it's got 9 core shots to it, and it's in a fan layout. So just know, like, that's, if you're just taking it from the basic level, if you're not like a giant fan of fan layouts, then this game might be less interesting to you. I think fan layouts are really good for someone that is newer, because it's very obvious where all the shots are. They're all really in front of you, and none of them are all that complex to understand how to shoot at, right? They're not like hidden, or, if you give someone Kong and they see that right flipper and the shot that sort of goes along the backside, and then you can kind of keep doing that with the mini flipper, like that's something that's a little bit more advanced. Plus, people that are new to pinball, they're just trying to figure out how to manage the 2 flippers, let alone the third. So it is a 2 flipper game. So you're not it's not complex to pick up and play. The other thing that you'll notice about the game, like right away, before we get into like all the shots, is that there's some easy multi-balls. So there's the straight up the middle shot, which you can just spam. I think it's like 4 times or 5 times maybe, and you'll get a multi-ball there. Then like to the left of that, you have the oh shit, what the hell is that thing called? This is how much I know Star Wars. Wait, it's like the main thing of the Death Star. So you have the Death Star shot. Now, when you hit the Death Star, it opens up, and then you can lock 3 balls in that. So that's also an easier multi-ball. Now, why I'm bringing those things up is because I think having those, if someone new comes over or someone that doesn't play pinball as often, or it's on location somewhere, those are 2 things you could tell someone to do that they can immediately get some satisfaction or feel like they're making some progress. Now, the straight up the middle shot is fairly simple. The Death Star shot, however, is not. It is a tighter shot. I was actually struggling with that shot. But keep in mind, 30 minutes, toward the end of my 30 minutes, I think I was starting to get more consistency as to where on the flipper I needed to hit that in order to get that shot. I was trying to see if I could backhand it. I think I backhanded it once, but it's not, I wouldn't call it like easily backhandable from the left flipper. So I would probably go with the right flipper to make that shot. Now, maybe more time in it, or maybe someone that's also played it might say, no, you can absolutely backhand it if you keep practicing, but I couldn't do that easily. I think I did it one time, and so that's it. So breaking down a little bit on the layout, because I think it's interesting. There's these pop bumpers that are on like either side, right? And those things are interesting because if the ball does get caught up in those pop bumpers because they're spread apart. They're not clustered. They're on the right and left side, like all the way to the sides. It can cause some chaos. So, if you find yourself if you find yourself that the ball ends up there, you're going to want to be ready and prepared because it could really go anywhere. But I thought that was cool. Kind of gives a little bit of I don't know, it kind of brings a little chaos to the game, makes it more fun. There's the Darth Vader scoop, which is located on the left side. That starts Dark Side Mystery and the other Vader modes when it's lit. But to light that, you got to complete the Empire return lanes. So that was one I didn't really get do much with that because I just didn't have that much time to play. I was kind of focusing on the easier stuff first. Now the left orbit and the right orbit, that orbit that goes along the backside of the game, that's how you spell Luke. Now, when you spell Luke, that's how you can use your Jedi saver, that Jedi ball saver thing. Now, that Jedi ball saver will work differently depending on which model of the game you have. The Pro is going to act like the life ring on Jaws, right? You'll hit it, and it's just going to give you the ball back. Where on the Premium or the Limited Edition, it's a magnet, so it like grabs the ball and then it throws it back into play. But that magnet is actually beyond the flippers, so it takes some time. It's a timing thing, right? I don't know how many of you guys have ever played Black Knight Sword of Rage, but it's funny. Rudy and I joke around, and we're always late to hit our Magna save, and it's like we hit it. We hit it. Sometimes we just hit it because we're like, oh, we might as well hit it now. So we hit it, and the ball's way past where it's supposed to be. I actually really like, I want to say it's Theater of Magic. I think it's Theater of Magic where those ball save, like it does that automatically, like as a magic thing, right? It will grab the ball. I think it's there. I'm pretty sure it's Theater of Magic. Correct me if I'm wrong in there, but that you don't press anything; it just does it. So I don't know. It'd be interesting. Like, what do you guys think? Is it better that it's like a button that you press to do it, or would it be better if it just did it automatically? Like, would it be cool if it just did? Because I think that with Theater of Magic, and I hope I'm not getting that wrong or mixed up with a different game, it just happens and it feels really like magical when it happens. So I don't know. I guess that was a choice to make it a button. I think making it a button makes it more stressful, right? It puts you under some pressure to do it. So I think that's kind of cool, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that goes. But then you have the AT-AT, right? Or the AT-AT in the it's like kind of to the left of the Death Star. So that's kind of like a mechanical device, right? And you don't bash it or anything like that. And I don't remember what you have to hit. I think it's the spiral ramp. So when you hit that spiral ramp, that's simulating the tow rope that they used in the movie to go around it and pull it down. Now, the funny thing is, it is a real. I'm a little disappointed that thing is as small as it is. I don't know how they could have. When they're engineering, I'm not a pinball designer. I don't know what's actually possible when it comes to that. But like, I wonder if that ramp could have been a little bigger and like it would have. I would have like sort of stood taller than the ramp. I don't know, but I don't know if that's even possible. But I guess when I look at a game like Kong and you see Kong in the back, you're like, holy crap, it's big. Like you're like, whoa, that thing is gigantic. When you're playing D&D and you see the dragon, it's like, oh my gosh, or the Sentinel head in X-Men. I'm using more recent games. Those things are big. So you almost forget that it's there. And I think that was a little bit of a miss. So I don't know if that was just like a cost of goods thing. Like they couldn't get it down to the right price with the licensing cost. I don't know. I know Stern is very, well, actually, I don't know this for a fact. I just think it's obvious by just like looking at the context clues. I think Stern, because they have this big factory, they got to maximize margins and profits and stuff. I think, they probably do have to hold back on the build of materials and I think they have a set cost. And I don't think there's that much wiggle room one way or the other. Like if a designer wants to put something really cool in the game, but it's going to have a massive cost, I think they would be challenged by the leadership at Stern to say, what other things can you take out if you're saying that thing is that important? Where me working with Jersey Jack for the period of time that I did, I think this is how I think it goes there. Designer wants something cool. The build of materials is a certain cost. I think they just make the case. And if someone comes back, like, I don't know if it's Brett Abbas or how far it goes up or Jack himself, they might go, hey, do you think this is something that it's just like too cool to leave out? And I think they figure out how to make it work. Now that could mean that could impact maybe the overall profit they're going to make on that game, but I think they would rather put that in. So I think that's where they differ. Sure, Stern's like a bigger machine. They got to pump more of these things out. So I don't know. By the way, I have no factual evidence that that's actually true, but that's what I would imply based on when we were out there for the John Wick. We were out there for the John Wick that day, media day. George pulled us in and showed us like the project timeline from start to finish and how precise everything has to be. And so I think Stern really sticks to that bomb, whatever that build of materials cost is, whatever they need to have as their budget for that. I think they really are strict about maintaining and sticking within that budget. So maybe that's why. Maybe that's why it's smaller. So now you got that. You have the droid stand-up target that's next to the AT-AT. That's used for certain modes. Then there's the Death Star mech, which we already talked about. So that's a physical lock. I think the physical lock is, I don't know. Let's see. Oh, actually, I think that's on all trims. So I think all of the models have that physical ball lock. I hope I'm not wrong on that. If I am, correct me, but I believe that to be true. The hyperspace ramp we already talked about, that's the center ramp. That's going to be stationary on the Pro, but then that's a motorized lift on the Premium and LE. It's a really easy shot. So it's supposed to simulate the Falcon jump to hyperspace, and then it feeds that wire form that returns to the left flipper. That one, it's fun actually. It's fun to shoot that. Now the hyperspace thing, I think I'm sure because keep in mind it's new code, and I don't think they've really put all the lighting orchestration stuff in yet. But my guess would be they're gonna add some really cool lighting effects around the expression light kits for when you hit that hyperspace ramp. There was some stuff in there, but I think it's not quite where it needs to be now. There's the Millennium Falcon toy that's illuminated. It sits above the center ramp, and then shooting underneath that qualifies the Falcon features, and then it triggers the light speed sequences. So I haven't, again, this when I was there, I wasn't really putting this all together. This is my notes after the fact. Where Jabba the Hutt is, that Jabba ramp has that whirlpool plastic ramp. And then there's a drop target, I think, in front of that ramp, if I remember right. So passing the target lets the ball spin down that pit, and then that starts Jabba events. And then there's an illuminated, that sculpt is illuminated on the Premium and LE. And I don't think that sculpt is in the Pro at all. Now, I joked about this with Mason in the car. I was like, thing is, Mason had no idea what I was talking about. I was like, Mason, remember those night lights with like the plastic things on top, but the light kind of doesn't diffuse out of them as well? And he's like, yeah, I have no idea what you're talking about. So anyways, if you remember those kinds of night lights as a kid, or maybe even the toys you would get at like Ringling Brothers and Barnum Bailey Circus that were like the flashlights that you turn on and there was a plastic thing on top, it kind of reminded me of that. And I only say that because it feels like, and they're not always illuminated, by the way, but when they are illuminated, the light diffuses out of them in a way that's like unpleasing to me. I feel like the result of that is that plastic is not quite thick enough. So the way it diffuses the light, it doesn't look good to me. But again, I don't know, maybe that's like a cost-cutting thing. Like, hey, we'll do the sculpts, but we got to do them in thinner plastic. I mean, every little bit of money that they can shave off of it counts. So I think modders are going to have a field day with that. I think the only the only thing I'm worried about there is our modders going to be afraid to kind of touch that because, it's Disney, and I don't know, they probably come after people. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. I hope the modders can come up with some way to enhance those things, because what's great is if you have a Pro, I'm sure those would be easy additions to your game, right? Because they don't exist. But if you have the Premium or LE, you're at least getting those. So I don't think they don't look bad when the light's not shining through them, to be honest. It's just when the light shines through at certain times, I don't like the way it diffuses the light. It like almost blows it out, and it just makes that look a little cheesy. So anyway, now Zach's gonna bust my balls about that. But before it was the spider on Kong. I'm slowly warming up to the spider on Kong, but I don't know. I don't know about the spider. It seems cheesy to me. I'm shocked right now. Is there not a spider mod for the game? Like, has no one decided to mod the spider? I don't know. Anyway, so then you have the TIE Fighter wire form ramp. That's on the right, and that's got the TIE Fighter sculpt there, but that's Premium and LE only. You're not going to get that on the Pro, and that returns the ball to the right flipper. Then you have the right orbit with the spinner, and the left orbit with the spinner too. Again, that's how you're going to spell Jedi. And then, obviously you have the Jedi Force magnet, and that's going to be that magnet that I was talking about before that's between the flippers, and it's activated by pressing the action button once Jedi is spelled. It can grab the ball, as it's draining, and then, kind of fire it back up. So the Pro, again, like I said, it's just virtual. So that's kind of like the main layout of everything. So, if you don't love that, then, that's okay. Like if you don't like that kind of layout or design, then maybe this game is one that you pass on and just play on location. But for people that like fan layouts, I think it's a pretty fun fan layout. I love the little swirly ramps, or, whatever you want to call those. I think those are pretty cool. So I had fun with it. I wish I had more time on it. And I think until I actually get one in my hands here at the house, I don't think I'll be able to say any more than I already said, because I feel like I just didn't have enough time to play it. Now, some of the people at the media event, like Vic VP, shout out to Vic. I really missed that I couldn't see him, man. He's a cool dude. I really like Vic. And every time I've ever spent time with him, we've always had a good time. The other person I was kind of hoping I'd see is there's shoot, I don't want to forget their names. Oh man, they're so sweet. It's a couple that I don't know their actual names. They're gonna kill me if they listen to this, because they're gonna think I'm leaving them out, and I'm not meaning to. But they're newer. They do like punk rock music, and they just got into pinball. I'll put the link of to how to see their content in the description. But I love them. They're great people, and definitely doing positive things for the hobby and community. They're approaching it in a way that's very approachable to newer players, and I love that, because sometimes I now am at a point where I can listen to a podcast like Wedgehead and feel like I'm following what they're doing. But when I first joined the hobby, I think some of the podcasts were talking about such advanced things that I was like, I need somewhere else to start. Like, what podcast can I listen to that'll be for me right now, when I was first entering the hobby? So I kind of get a good base. And a lot of the podcasts tend to, you might be a little lost if you're newer to the hobby, but you'll get there. But they're great, because they're taking it as from a basic approach, but also providing both content, both deep and lighthearted. And I think that's good for the hobby, right? As you have people that come in. Obviously, Ian from Nudge Magazine was there. There's so many. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. I don't remember. I don't know the whole list of people that went, but I think Erik'a probably went. I would love to see Erik'a, but I'll see everyone at Expo, providing everyone decides to go. I'm thinking most people are going to go to Expo, so that's where I'll be able to see everybody. But I was bummed. I had FOMO. I wanted to go, but it's just because it's really cool to all hang out, and it's really cool to experience the game as a group. And I tend to learn more that way. So, I didn't expect Ray Day and Zach to sit there with me the whole time. They showed me some basics, and then they had to move on because the dealers were there. So we did get the room to ourselves for a little while, but it was a short period of time, like I said before. But, it's nice to experience it together, because people will pick up on certain things. But then, how I end up learning long term is I listen to Triple Drain, or I listen to Travis on the Pinball Company. He always breaks it down to me in a very basic level, but he also goes advanced too. So that's usually how I end up learning. So for multi-balls, there's Battle of Hoth multi-ball, Death Star multi-ball. And I think those are the only ones right now, unless I'm missing something. Yeah, I think that might be it for right now. So as far as Spike 3 stuff, I'll go back to that for 1 second. There's some key things that I wanted to point out. So they're using a Raspberry Pi platform custom processor board. Now, I was talking to George about that. He's like, it's about 4 times the computing and video power than Spike 2, and they've got about 2 times the memory. So that's on their processor board. They have a micro SD card slot that's 3 times faster. So they'll, I don't really know what benefit that would have, really. I guess maybe it would like boot faster. I'm not really sure, because if you ever take that SD card out and try to boot your machine, it will not boot. It'll just sit there. I've actually been working in the back box before and accidentally hit it. Thought I broke my game, and because you looked at it, it didn't look like it wasn't in the slot, but it was just out of the slot. So I don't know. I don't think Sterns take a long time to boot up in general. I really don't. Like, they're up pretty quick. Like, you can turn them on, you're pretty much playing within a couple minutes. So I don't think that's excessive. I mean, it's not like an old game where you turn it on, you're basically playing almost instantly. They almost instantly boot. So it takes a little bit of time. The HDMI out is great because if you're want to get into streaming, so if you're newer to pinball, but you're like, man, I want to be a content creator, this is a cool feature because in order to capture the LCD footage, back in the day, people would just point a camera at it. That it looks okay, but it doesn't give you the full effect. And now you're not seeing those video assets in like the highest quality you can. So people started using this Geekworm device, which that was actually kind of interesting to me because I was familiar with the Geekworm device because people use that a lot when they're modding like arcades with displays that use LVDS. So I was very in tune with that already before I joined the community. Then I'll give you a little fun fact, is there was a module and you can find it on the internet, but you can't buy it. Like it never was for sale, but there was a module that was created that Stern had at one point, but they were only using it for themselves, I believe, but it was their way of easily being able to capture the backbox video. They never sold it, and I think the reason why they never sold it is that if they sold it, then they would be the ones providing you access to the video and audio assets of the game via the LCD. Now, what I think is the new processor comes stock with the HDMI output. So that's kind of like user can do whatever they want with it. And I think that's cool, right? The user can use it. They didn't provide an add-on for you to do anything. So I think that's how they can provide now video and audio output. So why I love that is because HDMI now routes video and audio. So that'll be a lot easier if someone wants to like put an Elgato capture card at the end of that thing. They could put that right into their laptop and capture that. So I think we'll start to see a lot more people get into the content creation space, and that's great. Like more streaming of pinball is great because there's so many people that I feel like they don't know how cool this hobby is. And if we can make people see this more and experience it more, and it's easier to produce content, then I think that's a win-win for everybody. If you're Stern, it's easy it's additional content that people can create on your systems and create it easier. So that'd be more people, easier point to entry. And, it helps people get into the hobby. Now on the display, so there's 125% more pixels, and it's 256 times the color depth compared to Spike 2. And you can really tell. I don't think they're exploiting the full capabilities of that right now. And keep in mind, they're using 4K. They did use 4K source assets, like the remastered versions of the original trilogy on this. So they look really good. Like you're going to be blown away at how good they look. But keep in mind that source content is from what, 1970s, late 70s, 80s. So if it's a new movie or with new assets, I can't even imagine how good that's going to look, or any animations that they create in-house new are going to look awesome on this display. So I'm very excited about that. Now, the other thing too, and I mentioned it before, it's going to look good in your lineup because they didn't decide to like creep up into the back glass and like have to readjust the artwork and everything. So I think it was smart. They provided a very large display on the original form factor, and I think that's good, right? I mean, that's good because people aren't going to feel like, oh man, this thing looks out of place. So I don't know. I have my Harry Potter on the other side next to Evil Dead because those two cabinets, I don't want them in my Stern row just because I want the Stern row to look the same. We talked about the audio already. Connectivity is better. So I believe the old Wi-Fi was only 2.4 gigahertz. The new one's 5. So you're going to have better connection capabilities. You do still have the Ethernet though. So you still have Ethernet if you want to do Ethernet, but now you have better wireless connectivity. And I believe that's all on board. I didn't get a chance to look at that. I believe it's on the board. I don't think it's a module that's plugged in. Man, I'm so gassy right now. Oh, sorry guys. And the wireless headphone capability. So there's going to be Bluetooth. Thing is, it wasn't in the code. I don't think that I was looking through the menu. I couldn't find it, but it will be in the Spike 3. If you buy a Star Wars, you will have Bluetooth audio capabilities. I like to wear headphones sometimes at night to crank it up. And also, you know what's interesting about headphones? You pick up on things a little bit better that maybe in an open room you don't. You've got ambient noises and stuff that you have to contend with, but I really think you'll find that playing with headphones sometimes is really beneficial. But the audio system is obviously a lot more upgraded. I will talk about that for one more minute before we jump back into other stuff. So in the normal LE, and I'll start with the Pro and Premium. The Pro and Premium used to have 4-inch speakers. Now a lot of people would upgrade those. You get new speaker mounts. You can get them I used to get them from Speaker Light kits. You can get them from everywhere now. I believe you can get them from Pinball Life. And then I would put I would put new 5 1/4 inch speakers. Now that's changing now because now across the board, that speaker hole is 4 inches. And that's all you can fit now because the screen takes up more real estate. Because the screen, imagine the screen's wider. So now you have like a narrow strip to put your speakers. So on the LE, they put upgraded 4 inch speakers. On the Pro and Premium, you're going to still have they're going to be the standard versions of those 4 inch speakers. And then they did add that tweeter to give you a better range of sound. So that was always my problem with Stern pinball machines, is that the range of sound wasn't that great. Like it felt like, man, I'm missing highs. I'm missing some highs and some mids that I just don't capture with these speakers. So on the LE, you're going to have that tweeter in the mid range, and the combination of that plus the subwoofer on the new amp, it sounds pretty good. We cranked it up really loud and it wasn't distorting. And at the time, it might distort at super high volumes. But the thing is, it'd be so high you wouldn't even play it that way. Like, I don't know what situation you'd play it that high. So you can put it at a reasonably high level where it's probably the highest most people would play it, and it doesn't distort. So that's great. The one thing I will say though, as a little tip, even if I didn't replace the speaker, I would always take the subwoofer out and take that speaker grate out. That speaker grate that's in there, I feel like rattles against the subwoofer sometimes. I hate that. I don't like that. So if I was going to if I bought an LE, I would take the subwoofer out, rip that grate out, put the subwoofer back in, and I think you'll find your system will sound even better with that. So that's just a little tip that I would have it in. And when I do pin sound or pin woofer, sorry, I always, when I put their subwoofer in, I take that grate out. I think they recommend you take that out, but that would be something I would say you'd probably take out just to make it sound the best. Now, the extra processing power is going to give them smoother animations and all that stuff. But I wanted to be clear that, George corrected me a little bit on, I had said at one point in a podcast that the Spike 2 platform was being pushed to its limits. They probably could have kept the Spike 2 for even longer. I mean, I think you look at games, more recent games like D&D, and the animations or even what they did with Metallica Remastered, they're all pre-rendered. So but the thing is, now they can have higher quality images, right? They can have higher quality images. They have enough processing power to do HDMI out and all that stuff. So there's definitely benefits to Spike 3, but I think you're going to see Spike 3, you're going to see those continued enhancements roll out as the games roll out. And then eventually you'll have a point where they've got Spike 3 is going to be everything Spike 3 has to offer. And then, but it's a journey, right? It's a new platform for them. You're going to see them continue to do that. So I know there's probably been some disappointment on, well, why don't I get all the Spike 3 features now? I think they were like, look, we got to get this thing out there. Let's get it out there, and we'll kind of enhance it as time goes on. So I think that's a good thing. And as far as video clips and video assets, if you're wondering, there's a lot of them. I don't know I think they might have said the quantity. I know there's like 1,000 audio clips or something, and I don't know how many video clips are there, but it's a lot. So there's a lot of video clips, and I got to think there's probably even more they haven't put into the code yet. So that's really cool, right? And I'm very excited to see what the enhanced expression light kit looks like. I like the Spike 2 cabinet expression lighting kit, but I think it's going to be quite the upgrade when we have the new one, because I think they're going to be able to do a lot more and address a lot more RGB lighting. So I think they could probably start to do a little bit more complex stuff. I did get a chance to play Dune finally at Interium. I was really shocked by the lighting that they did in that game. Like, you almost don't even notice that the lighting rails are there. And I don't know, they did a really good job with that. I'm still not like the biggest Dune fan. I don't know what it is. Normally a game can get me into a license, even if I don't like the license. I'd say that I don't like Dune. I like the original Dune, and I struggle with this because I didn't see these movies. So maybe I need to go back and watch the new Dune movies, and then maybe I would be like more into it. But I don't know. It's not, dude, it has a very creative shot layout. Like the shot layout is very creative. And when I was playing it at Interium, I was like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's taking risks for sure. It's definitely more unique. Now, what it made me kind of think about is, wow, Star Wars doesn't really take many risks, if any at all. But I think what their thought logic was that, I think their thought process was this. I think they're like, look, we're going to make a Star Wars game. We're going to try to put way more assets in it video wise than we've done before. But because it's Star Wars and it's such a big license and it's going to appeal to so many people, let's make it more approachable. So maybe that's why they said fan layout would be good and a 2-flipper game would be good. But I just don't want you to watch this and think, oh, it has no depth, because it does. Like, it already has depth. So I feel like what they did here, which is not easy to do, is create a game that could be appealing to the advanced player, but also for someone that's brand new to pinball. And that's a hard balance, man. That's the line they need to figure out how to toe, right? Because I give someone, and Evil Dead's probably my favorite between Evil Dead. It's tough for me to really give you my favorite between Evil Dead, Harry Potter, and Kong, because I appreciate them all in different ways. But if I had to say, if someone said, you got to put a stake in the ground, you have to. You can't waffle. You got to tell me what your favorite one is of last year. I'd be Evil Dead, but very close to Harry Potter, just because the fun factor of Potter is just through the roof. It is such a fun game to shoot. But then, like everything, positives and negatives, Potter's code, I feel like they have this game that's almost great. I'd call it great, but it could be amazing. And actually, funny thing is, we're going to on a little side quest for a minute. I did stop by Jersey Jack because I wanted to see Eric real quick. So I pulled into the parking lot and I text Eric. I'm like, hey man, are you around? And the funny thing is, he didn't respond. He just came out. So I'm sitting in the parking lot. I'm like, I'm in the parking lot. I'm like, this is weird. Like, is it weird of me? I was even asking Mason. I was like, is it weird of me to like text Eric and be like, I'm in your parking lot? He's like, yeah, kind of. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm going to text him. So I said I'm in the park. So he comes out and we geeked out on Potter, and he's evaluating a whole bunch of new code that Joe wrote. He was even telling me about some things that are not, because he's like, do you have this yet? I was like, no, I don't. So don't hold me to this date. And I know Eric would kill me if I said it's definitely going to be this date. So don't hold me to it. And he didn't give me a definite date, but it sounds like at the end of September, there's a pretty major code update coming for Potter that's going to add a whole bunch of new stuff. And then I tried to ask him about this, the High Inquisitor. There's some, if you're, all right, I'm probably not going to mess up. If you own a Potter and you're in movie mode 5, there is something in there where you don't want to tilt the game, but you want to get one nudge warning. And if you do, and I don't know when within that movie sequence you do it, but if you do it, you'll complete the movie sequence. But don't tilt. I thought that he said you needed to tilt. So if you remember my original featurette, he said something about it. He said, you'll know what to do. And I was like, dude, I still don't know what to do. Help me out. And he was laughing at me. He's like, dude. And I was like, I keep tilting like you're saying. He's like, no, you're not supposed to tilt it. I'm like, well, shit. So anyway, so he told me that. So I'm curious. I haven't had a chance to, like, my schedule is so crazy. This is probably going to be the last podcast you get for a little while, because we're going on vacation next month. Or not next week. No, hold on. This coming week, I'm going to California for another work trip. So it's been, so far my month has been work trip, work trip, work trip. Then we're going on vacation. So you can imagine it's been really hard for me to squeeze in content. So that's why I felt a little disappointed in the video that I put on Retro Ralph. It's still very entertaining video, I think, but I just didn't go to the depth that I'm going to in this podcast. And so I'm sorry about that. But hopefully you guys saw, like, it was fun. And I like bringing you guys along the journey, and not every video is going to be that deep video. And quite frankly, I don't enjoy making content about every single shot and all the code depth. I leave that up to guys that are much better at doing that. As a matter of fact, if you're looking for someone that's freaking stellar at it, go over to the Electric Batcast. So Serge is probably one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. And he really wants to help people get better at pinball. It's ridiculous how helpful he is. Him and Kale started this thing called Pinpals, which is like a separate, it's like a podcast within like a side quest podcast on the Electric Batcast YouTube channel. You got to check it out. Serge is like, he's brilliant, man. I mean, he is brilliant. But the cool thing is, I feel very lucky to have him as a regular at Electric Bat, someone that's very ingrained in the culture there. Because if you're like struggling to play a game, I don't know how. I don't know. It makes me feel like, man, why can't my brain absorb this stuff like he can? He can remember every rule, man. And it's like crazy. I still have games in my lineup right now that I think I'm just starting to learn at a deeper depth that like it takes time for me. And it's crazy because I feel like in my work life, I have to remember so many technical stats and information, how to pitch to certain products and all of our product specs and stuff. I don't know why, like maybe I just use so much of that brain power and I'm getting older that it takes me a while to learn a pinball machine. And some of these modern pinball machines go to such depth. Jamie and I talk about this a lot, where I'm like, man, I just can't remember everything. Although Jamie will like almost be a sleeper, be like, oh man, I don't know this game very well. Like he'll mess with, he messes with me so much. Sometimes he messes with me so much. I'm easy to mess with, but he's like, Jamie would be like, oh, well, yeah, if you pick that game, I don't know it very well. And then all of a sudden he knows all the multiplier rules. I'm like, dude, okay. Like he'll tell me, oh, I never played this game before. And he'll come in and he'll beat me. I'm like, dude, whatever. I mean, a lot of times he can be a much better player than I am. I don't know, but him and I go back and forth. I will say when we were at Electric Bat, I kind of whooped his ass for a little while. Then we played more and he kind of, he schooled me hard. But he was doing this. Jamie likes to get fancy. And sometimes you get fancy and you fumble Rooski and that's it. By the way, the fumble Rooski thing comes from the State Farm commercial where Patrick Mahomes is in it. Now, I'll be honest, I might don't unsubscribe because of this. But in this household, we are not Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce fans. So that makes us non-Kansas City fans. And because of that, this is what I do. I do this at home all the time. My wife gets kind of annoyed because she's like, all right, calm down, settle down now. When Kelce misses a catch or or something, or maybe like, which doesn't happen very often, or if Mahomes gets sacked, I look at Kim and then I go, Fambaruski. So I love it. And I send those clips to my friends who like Kansas City just to mess with them. I was like, I'll like zoom into Mahomes looking disappointed. I'll be like, Fambaruski. So anyways, if you never saw that commercial and you're like, what the hell are you talking about? And if you're not a football fan, you're like, I don't care. So anyways, that's what I do. All right, what else? What else can we talk about? I mean, I guess like just to conclude it, I know we're almost an hour. I can't believe I spoke for an hour on this. I'm having a hard time with this game. Like I didn't leave it going, oh my God, it's my favorite game ever. I got to own it, but I am going to buy it. I'm going to buy the premium. But here's the cool thing. So I'm trying to work out something with Zach and flipping out because I want to buy the premium, but I want to showcase the LE. So I'm trying to work something out with Zach where maybe I can borrow an LE for a little bit so that my video is on the LE. But here's why that's cool. If he agrees to this, then I will be able to showcase an LE. So I'll be doing an LE unboxing and then a premium unboxing because that's the one I'm actually buying. So I am going to buy the premium. Now, the thing is, I will say that as I've gotten deeper into the hobby, I enjoy games with more flippers, with more unique ball paths and things like that. So this game doesn't really provide that. So I think that might be where my reservation is. And all I think that is me starting to evolve in the hobby to a point where I know what I like and I know what I don't like or like less. And I think I like basic fan layouts less. And I don't want to have a bunch of fan layouts in my collection because then my variability of what I have to offer as far as pinball experiences goes down, right? So I will get it. I just don't know. I'm going to get it and hold on to it and see how the code evolves. And if I really start enjoying it, then I'll keep it, you know? But I did enjoy what I played of it. But again, this is the problem. Someone that plays a game, I don't know, maybe I played it less than 10 times. That's not enough for me to go, oh, I love it or not. But I will say there are games that I've jumped on. And in my first game, I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. This is so unique. Like my response to Kong when I played Kong first versus this was very different. Because Kong, I was like, oh, this is cool. Like look at the biplane ramp. Like that is neat. Or like, look at how you can combo these shots. And so, and I love I love having a third flipper, like 4 on Kong. I love all that. Like it because it's more advanced. So you have to start like building up more advanced skills and strategies. Not that you don't with this, but it's different, right? I don't know. So I hate making this comparison because I don't feel like it's fair, but like you play a game like Stranger Things. It's like fan layout. They're all in front of you. It's like left ramp left is on this side, left ramp, right ramp, center, Demogorgon. Like that's kind of your major shots in that game. Like there aren't that many other things to do. Venom, they're all laid out in front of you. Now, this is why I didn't like Venom Pro because I felt like, oh God, there's not enough variability. I like the premium because you can change the shots. And also that was the whole like tagline, change the game or whatever it was. So I liked that. It gave it more variability. So I think this is more my evolution. So I'm sharing with you like why I feel like I may or may not keep it is that I don't know if I'm going to like that fan layout long term because I'm really liking, like I love the reason why I like Evil Dead is I love that hidden flipper Now, a lot of people don't use it. I think that's a miss. There's so many cool things you can do with that third flipper. On Harry Potter, you've got the Quidditch, you have a flipper up there, you've got the right flipper, you have your other, your two standard flippers, 4 flipper game. Same with Kong. It's like, so a lot of these games, I think this, people are saying this is a safe game. I do think it is a safe game, but I also think there's variability to it and some depth to it that Ray Day has put into the code. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, like when it starts getting closer to 1.0. And I think, there's gonna be a lot of interest in it, obviously, because it's Star Wars. So that was, I wanted to really just give you guys that. Like, I felt like in my video, I felt like disappointed in myself because I felt like in that video, you really didn't get a whole lot of that. But I want to thank Mason for coming out on a whim. Like, that was really cool of him to come out. If he was not there, I'll tell you straight up, if he wasn't there, there would have been no way I would have been able to film a video by myself because I would have been playing the whole time. And he knows this because I said one more game like 700 times. And thank you, Zach, for having the patience of me. It was like you had a 5-year-old kid experiencing Star Wars and you're like, yeah, we got to get out of the room soon. I'm like, yeah, but Zach, if we just spent like 10, 15 more minutes, it's cool. So Zach, thank you for not getting upset with me. If you did, you played it off really well. I think I overstayed my welcome maybe a little bit. Now, the good thing is after we were done playing and we got out of that room, he didn't say we had to leave, but we just couldn't be in the room anymore. So we were out in the lobby and this I wanted to tell you guys. I should have said this up front. I did not get to see the Pro and Premium because the Pro and Premium had gotten shipped out. So that was a benefit to the people that were at Media Day. So it was hard for me to say, like, without just seeing pictures, what I thought about the artwork. I wasn't crazy about it. Was like weird. I like the Pro back glass because it's got these greens in it. And I kind of like a little bit of the Pro artwork, but then I love the LE back glass and I love the LE artwork on the side. So I hate when it's like that because you're like, oh, I wish I could take this one from that one and that one. And it's kind of like how I felt with Jaws. Because with Jaws, I loved the Jaws Pro back glass. That was the movie poster. So I put that one in my premium. I didn't love the premium side art on Jaws. I liked the side art on the LE. So I'm like, one other thing that I failed to mention, but I think I mentioned it in the video, is that there is no foiled artwork on the LE model of this one. So you don't get that. Now, I did ask, Seth was in the room at the time. I was like, Seth, what's up with the no foiled artwork? And he's like, well, we played around with the foiled artwork, but it made the whites look rather blue. And so it made the snow look blue, and we didn't like the way that looked. So I have no reason to believe why he would tell me that story if that wasn't factually true. So I'm going with that. I really do have a lot of respect for Seth. In that meeting, he did a really good presentation to the dealers, just kind of giving us the breakdown of it. Went into very deep detail. I knew we couldn't record that, but I had a notebook with me, or I should have taken notes because there were some things in there. I'm sure like Colin or someone has an article with all that stuff, or maybe Nap. But yeah, go check that out. They probably have a deeper, breakdown of that kind of stuff. And then, Dirty Pool did a really good little breakdown too. Like his breakdown was really good. So yeah, check those guys out. There's going to be a lot of content. I'm sure Erik'a will post some content. I don't know who else was there because I know Loser Kid wasn't there. Triple Drain wasn't there. I don't know the full list. When they email us for these kinds of things, they BCC everyone. So I don't know everybody that was invited. I know Vic was there. So yeah, so you'll let me. I really quick. I feel like if you guys can hang out with me for a minute longer, I really don't want to. I don't know. I'm so bad with names sometimes. Like I start getting into. I don't know why. I've always sort of okay. It's live from the rock room. Live from the rock room. Go check that. Go check them out. So they just kind of started. I think it's called Punk Rock Pinball. Really good people. And I think their content is great because it will definitely appeal to someone that's maybe newer on their journey, but they do go deep on stuff too. So definitely if you're looking for another newer podcast to check out, go check them out. I think you'll really enjoy the content. And we were going to do something. I'm really bummed, but we have this idea that they're I don't know if they're a couple or not. I don't want to say that it's husband and wife. I don't think it is. I don't know that. I don't know if they're married. I honestly, please don't be offended by this, but I would watch and feel like you're husband and wife, but I don't know if you are. So I guess we'll find out. If not, then that could be weird. If you that I think that, but I think that. Okay, maybe that means that your on-screen chemistry is so good that I think you're married. But I don't know. Maybe you're not. And then I'm going to feel stupid. But definitely I'll get an email from them, I'm sure, saying like, hey, no, we're not husband and wife. But thank you. Thank you. So go check them out. I'll have a link in the description to them. Really good people. But yeah, that's all I got. I will say what's interesting is we got Expo right around the corner. So definitely if you got to go to Expo. I mean, hold on, I'm trying to make sure my audio levels are good. I got people complaining about when I do my intros and outros, I'm a little too loud, or I'm yelling over the audio. So hopefully I did it good this time. So you got to go to Expo, man. I mean, you have to. You'll be able to meet everybody that you listen to. Most likely, everyone goes. I know a lot of people either go to TPF or Expo, and some don't go to both. But I've never been to TPF, so maybe next year I'll forego Expo and go to TPF. But Expo I've gone to Expo ever since the what was it? The Godzilla launch. So it's been a lot of years. I want to say this is my 5th year at Expo. It's either my 5th or 6th year. I love that event because so many people that are fans of the show go that I'm used to seeing every time I go there. And so we always like tend to hang out in different areas and play games together. And so I love that. I love the interaction and being able to not only see them, but see some of my content creator peers too. So anyways, that's it. That's all I got. Hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. I hope you enjoy your Sunday or whenever you're listening to this. And we will see you on the flip side. See you guys.